Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Today I'm going to be going over all of my study tips and advice that I think got me into Yale University. Now disclaimer, I am not a Yale admission counselor, I'm not a college counselor, I'm not a guidance counselor, nor am I a college coach. So I'm only talking from my personal experience. So if that is something that you would like to hear, then you are in the right place. So pause. If you did not watch my first video where I went over my stats, my extracurriculars, my AP scores, and everything else, I recommend you watch it because that will give you a lot of baseline for what I'm talking about and where I'm coming from. But then come back please, because this one has a little bit more information and more general advice for you to follow. That one was just a stats video. This one has the actual advice. Now, currently I am sitting with a 98.53 average. I have taken 8 APs. I've gotten a 5 on 7 of them and a 4 on 1 of them. I only have 3 extracurriculars, and I am a person of color, as you can see. So that will give you the baseline for my admissions portfolio if you did not feel like watching that video. But we're not here for that. We're not here for the technicalities. We're here for the raw advice. And I'm going to give you advice that's applicable to freshmen, sophomores, seniors, everyone. Juniors, I almost forgot about you. Anyone who's applying to college and needs that admission advice, needs that helpful advice, needs that Ivy level advice, I'm here to give it to you. So let's just get into the video. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about is understanding and defining your passion. What does that mean? Well, not to put a lot of pressure on you, but you kind of need to know where you want to go. Now, I'm not saying you need to know what career field, what bracket you want to be in. I mean, you don't even have to know your major, but you have to know something by your junior year. I knew where I wanted to go, I knew how much money I wanted to make, and I knew my distance away from home. And that really defined what I wanted to do in my college seeking process. Because a lot of you guys, okay, yes, Yale may be your top score if you're watching this, but you may end up wanting to apply to Harvard or Princeton, depending on how far you want to go, your price bracket, and also what interests you. So with defining your passion comes understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. I am not a STEM kid. Math was my biggest weakness. I mean, literally my biggest weakness. I was so shocked when I got a 5 on my AP Calc BC. I did a little dance, I did a cartwheel. I mean, it was a full celebration. But defining your strengths and weaknesses is really, really important because that'll help you navigate what you need to focus on. What's gonna be your main selling point of your application? My main selling point was my community service and my giving back to others. Because that's what I did. I focused my high school career on making sure I created a community for people of color, for people of different identities. I made sure that there was a space for you at least once a month, if not once a year minimum. So that was my strength. I was a community service giver. So I posed my application as someone who liked to give back. But that may not be all of you. I mean, some of you guys, when you guys were sending me all of your stats, which you can do, by the way, link in the description to my email, send me your stats and I'll look at them. Some of you guys are crazy, like actually 99 average, astrophysicists, economists, I mean, musicians, amazing. Whatever your strength is, play on that because that will be the selling point for your application. They want to see passionate people. But also, this goes for everybody. Let's be realistic, be realistic, be realistic, be realistic, because it will crush you. It will defeat you. I'm not saying you're not smart, but what I'm saying is that maybe you won't get into all 8 Ivies. You need to look at your stats. You need to look at what you have and be realistic for that school because you can shoot far. I'm not saying don't aim big because hello, that's like my biggest thing is shoot far, aim big. Or aim far, shoot big. No, I said that right. But we need to be realistic with ourselves and make sure we're not creating unrealistic goals that will hurt us in the long run. Because I had a lot of friends who were crushed. I mean, absolutely defeated. And I was like, oh, why are you upset? And they were like, oh, I didn't get into all 8 schools. And I was like, 8? 8! Now we're going into the part where a lot of you guys wanted to hear, and that is academic excellence and getting those good grades. Today, I'm going to be telling you my main general study tips. I have videos coming out later. I know you guys may not want to wait, but trust me, they'll be right ahead of school time, or if not, when school starts, so you'll have them to navigate the school year. But I'm just going to be telling you general tips. Then in those videos, I'll be telling you my specific tips, how to apply them, where to apply them, and then also the tips that I hate, because some of these tips are actually bonus. So what I'm gonna give you right now is general study tips to maintain that 99 average that I have, to get good grades, to get good test scores, and I'm gonna give you general study tips and advice on how I managed taking 8 classes a year, 99 average, getting good test scores, and applying to college. So first things first, we're going to prioritize actually understanding than just trying to memorize things. And this will help you in the long run when you're taking your finals. So yes, it's very there's a car that obviously is gonna keep honking while I'm talking. How rude. The main thing that I can tell you is to make sure you understand. Make sure you understand. And if you don't understand, be like, excuse me, I don't understand. And I was that kid. And if anyone from my school is watching this, you will know. They know that I was that kid. They know that I was that kid. I mean, I was that kid raising my hand if I didn't understand, going to SGI, which is student guided instruction, going to those extra tutoring sessions. I even had a tutor. As a 99 student, I had a tutor. And if that tells you anything about who I am, but also what you need to do, then hopefully that helps. And my tutor was free. I didn't pay for a tutor. I'm not one of those like people who pay $2,000 for a tutor. I got a NHS, National Honor Society tutor, and that worked perfectly fine. Now, when you're understanding rather than memorizing things, it helps you not only, of course, understand the material, but it comes back later during tests. So I tell people, do not just try to cram and memorize things. I've never crammed in my life. I don't believe in cramming. I actually don't believe in staying up late. I went to sleep every day at 10 p.m. I was sleeping like this while people were up late reading these flashcards. I don't believe in it. While you're in class, pay attention. Ask questions. Engage with your teacher, have a little chit chat. I was always talking to my teacher. If I didn't understand, I used to be like, excuse me, miss, you said that wrong. Can you please say it better? Excuse me, miss, you're going too fast. Excuse me. And of course, it may have been really annoying for other people if they were just trying to get through the day, but it helped me understand. And sometimes I was able to pull that information from her answering my question and put it on my test. Now, the point of, where all of you guys don't like, effective time management. Now, this is really, really, really important, and I'm still in the study section, so you guys didn't see a really cool banner that's like time management, because this falls under studying. Now, this may not make sense to you, but yes, time management is a part of studying. So, what do I mean by that? What does that mean? You need to schedule specific times for studying, yes, but then in that schedule of specific times for studying, you need to label what you're studying. Because you're not just studying math. I used to hate it when I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, I'm studying. And I'm like, what are you studying? Math. What about math? When you label those study sessions, when you make room for specific lessons, it not only helps you understand and navigate your time management and your schedule, but it also helps you understand what you're missing. So for example, there were times where I was absent from school and I had on my schedule study lesson 1, 2, and 3, right? Let's pretend. But if I was absent, I need to study lesson 1, 2, and 3 and add in time to study whatever I missed. And knowing exactly what you're studying helps you prepare for your exams because you know exactly what you're missing. You know that you studied every single lesson. And then you also know that if there was a specific study session that was harder than the other ones, you know what exactly to ask for help on. So having that time management skills, having that labeled study session skills will not only help you organize your life, which I know a lot of you guys lack on that. If you're not using a planner or Notion, which you can get down below, I don't know what you're doing. But it will not only help you organize your life, it will help you get better grades as well. Lastly, my last main general tip for study tips that got me into Yale, that made me all the way into the Ivies, which a lot of you guys may not be expecting, which is avoid burnout at all costs. All costs, like literally all costs. I mean, anything goes if it means you're avoiding burnout. I've seen a lot of my friends who are smarter than me, brighter than me, have, a million extracurriculars. I mean, they're absolute geniuses and I admire them for that. But then they do not give themselves a rest or a break. They miss weeks of homework, weeks of assignments, and then their grade just drops. And that's because they couldn't maintain that stamina. They couldn't maintain that studying every day, those 5 extracurriculars, that at-home commitment. And that's realistic. I'm not saying it's not. but we're gonna try our best to avoid burnout. And what does that mean? How do you avoid burnout? Well, I avoided burnout by taking a nap, missing school, going home early. I was doing anything in my power. I was visiting that guidance counselor. I was talking to my mom. I was relaxing. I was going to bed early. And a lot of you guys are like, hey, that's not very scholarly. But I avoided burnout at all costs so that I can maintain my grades, maintain my extracurriculars, and maintain that stamina. You do not want to lose your stamina halfway through your high school career, halfway through your senior year, halfway through your junior year. Because then your grades drop and everything you've been working for just falls through the floor. Now, of course, you can make things up after a burnout session. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. But if you avoid burnout at all costs and prioritize yourself, prioritize your mental well-being, prioritize your life, you will do better in school. So if that means missing out on class time, if that means taking your naps, if that means going to bed early, if that means maybe not doing so well on one test for 1 week so that you can get a little bit more rest, do that. I could not maintain that stamina. I was taking 5 AP courses. I had babysitting to do at home. I had extracurriculars. I had leadership positions. It's hard. It's really, really hard. But I'm not going to tell you it's impossible if you care about yourself. You have to care about yourself if you want to dream big. That's just how life goes. So if that helps you with anything, if that means anything to you, especially if you're a freshman or a sophomore, you're just starting your high school career, you can do it, but don't overdo it, because you'll fall into that trap of someone who's really successful but can't maintain it, and then there goes your grade. There goes your passion, your energy. So my 3 tips for studying your way into Yale is 1, actually ask questions. Understand in the moment. Understand what your teacher is saying to you. Then number 2, time management. Manage your studying, manage your study sessions, manage what you need to do, what you're going to do, manage how you study, manage what you're studying. And when you have that full game plan of lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, you can even go as detailed. Sometimes I had to go lesson 1.1, lesson 1.2, lesson 1.3, because there was just so many different study topics to learn, whether that be broad or specific. Making sure that you are managing that time study session or that study time is very important. And then tip number 3, avoid burnout. Avoid burnout. Don't get burnt out. And it's going to happen. I've been burnt out at least 3 times a year since I started high school. It's hard. But if you can fight it. If you can do anything in your power to avoid it, avoid it. And maybe I'll make a video if you need some better tips, if you need some more specific tips, let me know in the comments down below. Now, we're going into extracurriculars and maintaining that good stamina with being in high school and managing grades, but also having a social life. So, what does that mean? I had 3 extracurriculars. I had student government, I had my Model UN team, and I was a babysitter. And you're like, what? Babysitter? That's not an extracurricular. Yes, it is. Anything you do at home that's caring for somebody and takes up time, that's an extracurricular if it means you're giving back to someone else. I mean, don't put like gaming as your extracurricular, but if you're taking care of a family member of a household, if you're working, that's an extracurricular. Put that down. That matters. But you want to make sure you have that balance. I had that balance where I was only doing extracurriculars I actually liked. No tea, no shade. But some of you guys just pick up extracurriculars because you want to pick up extracurriculars. Don't pick up something just because it makes you look good. Because people can tell it's shallow. I mean, I can tell when it's shallow. I look at this and I'm like, are they starting this nonprofit because they care? Or because it looks good? And 9 times out of 10 it's because it looks good. And if I can see it, I'm pretty sure a college application counselor can see it. So making sure that you're not shallow in your extracurriculars and you're only picking things that you like is very important. That's what I did. That's why my extracurriculars were 4 years long. They were so passionate. They were in detail. They were full of awards. Why? Because I was happy to be there. And so I was participating. I was making sure I was actually making progress in my extracurriculars. I benefited myself by being there, but I also benefited my application by being there. So that's my little tad bit on extracurriculars. Don't do something just to do something. But also make sure that you're making progress. So you can join a Model UN team, but what are you doing for that team? What are you giving to that team? And what are you getting back out of that team? I actually wrote a lot of my personal statements on Model UN because Model UN did so much for me. I mean, that's why I'm able to speak to you right now. So I made sure that I included that in my application. And now we're going into the final chapter, which is the personal statement and interview. Personal statement and interview process. I did get an interview for Yale. Not everyone does, but if you are selected for an interview, it usually just means, are you okay? Will you be a good fit at Yale? So it's not someone going like, oh, this interview, she said this, and this, so she's better than this application. No, it means that you made it past that pool of people, you know, that huge pool of people who applied to Yale, and now they just want to see, are you a good fit here? Now, at my interview process, I came prepared with 3 things. Questions. People love when you have questions about the school. Don't just assume that you know everything about the school. So make sure you're asking personal questions. Make sure you're asking, what's life like? What are the culture there? What is Yale or Harvard or whatever you're applying to? Having those interview questions loaded up gives your interviewer an idea that you're passionate about being there. You're not just someone who wants to go there for the name. You actually will make a choice and decision to go there, which is very, very important. Number 2, I came prepared with pictures. So if you put on your application that you did Key Club, Model UN, Astrophysicist Club, you started a nonprofit, they're gonna be like, okay, great, you have any pictures? And put them in your phone, put a little album. I have an album just called Interview, and I put all my pictures of everything I used for my interview in that process. So when they were like, oh, you have pictures? I was like, yeah, I have pictures. And I opened up the album and was able to swipe and show them the pictures without, of course, having any ugly pictures pop up, because that can be really embarrassing, but also having everything already set and together. And then number 3, having a general guideline of what you want to talk about. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? They're going to ask you, what is your strength? And then they're going to ask you, what is your weaknesses? You want to make sure you spin that weakness into a strength. So for example, I was like, my weakness is I don't know when to give up. And that's a good thing because I'm always trying hard, but it's a bad thing because it can hurt me. Or I said something like that. Whatever the case may be, spin that weakness into something good, but also make sure you're real. You're real and raw. I mean, we're not lying here. We're not saying my weakness is I'm too smart. No, we're not doing that. So that's my interviewing tips and tricks. Now for my personal statement, I will read your personal statements and I will tell you if I think that they're boring or not. They don't want a sob story. I had a sob story. I mean, I could have easily wrote, I am a black girl from the Bronx and I am a low-income student who needs a lot of help and I'm so sad. I could have easily wrote in my personal statement about that, or written my personal statement about that, but I didn't. Why? Because no one cares. No one cares your sob story unless your sob story involves how a problem affected you, how did you fix that problem, and how will you continue to fix that problem. I said this in my main video, so I'm not gonna go into detail, but if you follow that 3 points for your personal essay and personal statement, it will help a lot. Or it doesn't even have to be at that, as long as it shows your personality. I know somebody who got into Harvard, they wrote about taking a shower, how much they love taking a shower. One guy wrote about soap. Doesn't really matter, as long as they're understanding who you are as a person and they like what you show them. Your words matter as well in that personal statement. So use words with positive connotations when talking about yourself, negative connotations when talking about the problem, making sure you're balancing your words out. If you guys want a more in-detailed video on that, I can get into it, but this is just my general advice and hopefully it helps. And it's like 20 minutes of video. Hopefully I helped you get into that mindset, get into that frame of view, get into that passion of what you want to do in your life. And hopefully I helped a lot with easing your worries, easing that fear of will I get in, will I won't? Will I won't? I don't know guys, I've been talking for like 25 minutes. But that about does it for this video. I will see you guys all next time. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'm also linking my email. If you need to email me with personal information, for example, if you want a personal statement to be read, give me some time, but yes, you can email me. If you need planners, if you need resources, if you need calendars, I sell them for $1. And any of my school supplies or my school notions are for free. They're in the website linked in my description. You can get those planners. You can get that daily, weekly organizer. You can get that notion for free down below. And if you guys want to see my AP study tips video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, but also really just subscribe so that you are here next week when I upload that video. And without further ado, I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.